Favorable deliberation, government has decided to place a levy on all electronic transactions to widen the tax net and rope in the informal sector. This shall be known as the Electronic Transaction Levy or E-Levy. Covering mobile money payments, bank transfers, merchant payments, and income remittances will be charged at an applicable rate of 1.75%, which shall be borne by the sender, except inward remittances, which will be borne by the recipient. Mr. Speaker, to safeguard efforts being made to enhance financial inclusion and protect the vulnerable, all transactions that add up to 100 Ghana cedis or less per day, which is approximately 3,000 Ghana cedis per month, will be exempt from this levy.
And that is Mr. Ken Oforiatta, the finance minister, yesterday in Parliament. And this has become very topical, the fact that he has mentioned that there's going to be the introduction of the E-levy. And so remittances into the country will be taxed. And the person who's receiving the money is the person who bear that cost of 1.75% on that charge. Also, all Momo users, so mobile money transactions, will be charged an extra 1.75% as against the 1% that's already been, charged. Now, aside that, all bank transactions as well will be charged 1.75%. Joining me in the studio this morning is the MP for Tamale Central, Comrade Murtala Mohammed from the NDC. Good morning and thank you. How are you doing?
Bella, I'm okay, alhamdulillah. We can't complain.
You can't complain,
Everybody is trying to survive in this country, except those at the Flagstaff House and those who have relations with those at the Flagstaff House.
You don't think that they are facing the wrath of?
If they were, I don't think that they will be presenting the kind of budget they presented. If they were, I don't think that the Minister for Agri will look into our frustrated and miserable faces and then told us that prices of food items haven't increased after all, that the idea of prices of food items being increased is nothing but delusionary. And I think that is why I think that they are not going through what we are going through. You and I know, those of us who enjoy kinky a lot, we know that the price has not only risen, but the size has actually shrunk.
Reduced, yeah.
And I lived in Tamale for my life, my entire life, and I know how much a bag of maize has ever been sold, which was considered to be high. We have never had what we have had today. So I think that everybody is struggling to survive except those within the walls of the Flagstaff House.
And we're yet to be joined by a rep from the NPP, by the way. And so once that person gets in, we'll introduce him or her and have that conversation. But, Comrade, let's start off with the most topical of them all, which is the E-levy. And like I mentioned yesterday, of course, and just this morning as well, the minister says that there's a reason why we have to tax. And I'll just read a bit of what he said. Now, he says that as it stands now, the global digital economy is set to grow from 11.5 trillion in 2016, that's dollars, to over $23 trillion by 2025. That's according to UNECA. Now, Ghana must be part of today's networked world. And as a government, will focus on improving access, cost and speed of internet to them. Now, he says that data from the Bank of Ghana also confirmed growing trend in online selling. So the data showed that between February 2020 and February 2021 alone, Ghana saw an increase of over 120% in the value of digital transactions compared to 44% for the period February 2019 to February 2020. And apart from the convenience the online selling offers to Ghanaians, the surge, we believe, was primarily due to the increase in the use of digital platforms due to COVID-19. Then it moves on to say that following this observation, there exists significant potential to increase tax revenues by bringing into the tax bracket transactions that could be best defined as being undertaken in the shadow economy, which is why the E-levy or electronic transaction levy has been introduced. What do you say?
Well, let me say good morning to you and good morning to your cherished viewers and, of course, the good people of Tamale Central. Prior to the minister, reading of the budget, I granted interview with your journalists at the forecourt of Parliament, and I guess it was done at the was it the foyer that we had the interaction, and I made some predictions, and I said I could bet my last dime that those predictions were going to happen. I indicated to your journalist that the minister was coming there to blame every single problem we have in this country as to how, disastrously the economy is managed and the entire management of the affairs of this country on COVID. I said he was going to blame COVID for everything. And today, even if, unfortunately, a woman has a miscarriage, they will blame it on COVID. Everything that happens in this government, the ineptitudeness of the government, the insensitivity of ministers and appointees of this government are always blamed on COVID.
But COVID disrupted the economies of many countries.
You see, the reason,
it's not just Ghana.
The reason why it cannot be justified for them to do what they are doing is that the last point you made, that COVID was a global pandemic which affected every country across the globe. No country was insulated from the havoc that COVID caused. And it is appropriate we look at our neighbors, our sub-region. COVID affected Ghana just as it affected Togo, Nigeria, Burkina, Ivory Coast, mentioned. To the extent that it affected those countries, then it affected us. To the extent that several lives were lost in those countries than the lives that were lost here. None of them went to the IMF for a loan of $2 billion. None of them. In fact, as a matter of fact, we got a grant of $100 million from the IMF. The Heritage Fund, a fund that was established by a government who was berated and insulted and given all names. They dipped their filthy hands into that fund and removed $200 million. Please, it's important.
Let's not say filthy hands.
Well, their corrupt hands.
They
dipped their corrupt. They dipped their corrupt hands into that. They dipped their corrupt hands, the TV hands, into that fund, just using COVID as a justification.
It's not fair to say.
No, it is. It is thievery. It is absolutely thievery, because what we are experiencing in this country is no longer a joke. It is beyond corruption. It is thievery. What they also did was that they went to the central bank and borrowed. They promised. They came to Parliament that they wanted to borrow 10 million. Parliament gave the approval. They went and borrowed in excess of 20 million. So without any regard to legal guidance that should ensure how much they borrow, because they got the approval from Parliament. But they went in and borrowed 20 million. All these monies, they went in. And there's nothing to show. Is Ghana a unique country when it comes to how our economy is managed? And in any case, our economy is and was considered to be better than the economies of most of the countries within the sub-region. So we had some leverage than they had. Yet, COVID affected some of them than it affected us. Yet, they didn't go in to borrow the huge sums of monies that we have borrowed. As a matter of fact, some of the countries paid rents of their citizens. Senegal, that was what they did. They paid rent during COVID for their citizens.
But the minister outlined what was done for citizens as well. 2.8 million hot meals were served, 470,000 families with dry food packs, 38,000 nurses were employed, tax exemptions. He said 36.8 million Ghana cedis for frontline health workers, some 10.1 million and 4.78 million households got free water. I mean, that is highly contestable because we're paying for it anyway. But he outlined a few of the things that these monies were used for.
Well, these stories should be told to the Marines. We all live in this country. We had the Minister of Information, my good friend, who recently told us that yes, those monies would have to be paid, and that government is not Father Christmas, and that monies no longer fall from heaven. Yet this minister has found space in this budget to tell us what they did with the money. Monies that they have access to pay. And in any case, we had the NADMO, the communication officer of NADMO, who told us that they were spending over 2 million Ghana cedis a day feeding people at where? Just at Circle and at certain designated areas. The feed was not to the entirety of the people of this country. They identified certain places, and in fact, people contested and challenged the amount of money they claimed they were spending. The food was not wholesome. We saw pictures of it. There were other philanthropists and ordinary citizens who prepared better food and supported these people within 2 weeks. What did they do? Do you know they have spent over 600 million Ghana cedis in buying Veronica buckets? Do you know that? 600 million Ghana cedis in buying Veronica buckets. 600 million. Does it even make sense? 600 million, the doyens of anti-corruption, those who were the loudest of the loud when the NDC was in office. If the NDC had spent even 100 million Ghana cedis and buying Veronica buckets, it would have been an issue. 600 million Ghana
just
cedis.
Veronica buckets.
Yes, Veronica buckets. This is what this government has done. But you see,
how's that so? I mean, he mentioned that 11 million students and teachers with PPEs. I mean, that comprises all of that. So how can they spend just 600 million?
I'm saying that the PPE,
on
dollars, the PPEs were just two disposable PPE for students. In fact, let me give you an example. I went to the Tamale.
They gave soap. They gave nose masks and a few other things as well. I remember that we did stories on that and we got updates on some of the items that were presented to the schools.
Cost $11 million. Does it even make sense? Bella, look, I went to the Tamale prisons and I will say this. I was shocked that they didn't even have nose masks. I had to do nose masks for them. Prisons. And there were cases of COVID among the inmates. So tell me, who would be the best people, if you like, to be provided with this? But Bella, something happened yesterday. The official communication to Parliament and members of Parliament was that the budget was going to be read at 10 o'clock. The minister started reading the budget almost 1. The only reason was that the figures were not adding up. And I had the understanding.
Is that what they told you?
That was what, I mean, if that was not what they told us, why did that happen? And nobody told us why the delay. But I'll give you a justification why I think that the figures were not adding up. And the understanding I got was that they needed a special calculator to see whether the figures could be added up.
Those assumptions you're making at the moment?
Well, those assumptions have been proven. If you take the same statement, look at page 31, paragraph 134. Paragraph 134, and I just want to read something. Agenda 111. The Agenda 111 was christened that way because government promised that they were going to build 111 districts. Mind you, it was 88 district hospitals that they said they were going to do. 88 district hospitals. For some strange reasons, they couldn't even do one. Then it moved to Agenda 111. Now, if you check in the budget, it is no longer Agenda 111. It is Agenda 124. Because in the budget, the minister says that the Agenda 111 comprising of 124 district of hospitals. The Agenda 111 was 111 district offices, comprised of 124 district offices and 7 regional hospitals, 3 psychiatric hospitals. But what is shocking is this part I'm going to read. That cadastral plans of 91 district hospitals have been completed and work have begun on X number of sites. I mean, seriously? X number of sites. So find X. I remember when we were doing sets, those of us who were not that good at math, they do the diagrams and ask you to find X, or equation, find X. A financial statement presented to the people of this country. The only explanation is that the figures were not adding up. Because, frankly speaking, my less than 2-year-old daughter would have appreciated that you cannot put X number of size and expect the people of this country to do that. And you remember, when the minister was reading and got to that point, he paused. Because he couldn't fathom telling the people of this country X number of size.
Is that probably why he paused? There could have been a number of reasons.
Why? The reason is that they haven't done anything. It was a gargantuan lie. It is not true. Because if they knew the number of sites, they would have indeed put that one in the budget. I am saying this is an official statement, and this was the president's budget. The minister presents the budget for and on behalf of the president. That the minister brought the budget and he put in that budget X number of sites. So find X. Is it our responsibility to find X? Or we are being introduced to some kind of equation that Ghanaians should now work out the formula to identify what X is? It simply doesn't make sense. For the first time, we didn't see Agama Lizard, His Excellency the Vice, the way he turns his head. His Excellency the Vice President.
I don't think that he would be happy.
That's why I apologize. I'm saying that with all due apologies to His Excellency President Mahamudu Bawumia, he's my senior brother, that he yesterday was not present. And the explanation Honorable Chairman Bonsu gave was that he is the acting president because the president is not in town. Nothing bars him from being there.
I like that you brought him up because I'm checking Ghana Web right now, Monday, 31st August 2020, and it says that Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has said that he does not think mobile money should be taxed beyond the corporate taxes that the telcos already pay on their mobile money earnings. And he spoke in an exclusive interview with Kwame Sefakai on Peace FM. He said, I don't think that it should be taxed because most of the people who use the service are poor people. So if you put more taxes on it, they will suffer. This is what he said. during an interview.
It is very clear
Now
the
we're
center
told that
can no longer
e-levy
hold.
has been
It is very clear
introduced.
that the center can no longer hold.
Is that what it is? I mean, yesterday we listened to the Information Minister, Honorable Kojo Ponkuma, and we're concerned about how poor people are going to pay this 1.75% tax on e-levy. And he says that per the statistics that they have, it shows that about 30 to 40% of the population who use Momo pay just below 100 Ghana cedis, which is why they've decided that anybody who pays up to 100 Ghana cedis will not have to pay that 1.75% on the tax. So they have at least secured the poor people in the country.
Who is a poor person? The current teachers, set A teachers or diploma teachers, if you want to describe poor people and nurses, they are. Because their pay-home salary, their salary cannot take them for entire month. Now, a teacher whose salaries are paid through the banks, teacher salaries are paid through the banks. They will pay those charges on them. Now, if I'm a teacher or a nurse, my salary is paid through the bank. The 1.75% charge is imposed on it. Apart from the fact that there are other bank service charges, which I will pay anyway. And other taxes, VAT, any charge, you will pay all those things. The 1.75% tax levy is imposed on that salary.
Yeah.
I remove this salary. My mother is sick, or my father is sick, or the survival of my parents depends on me. Then I have to do the money through Momo to my mother in the village, or my father in the village, or my relative, or my brother. I would have to pay another 1.7.
Yeah.
And Kojo Opon Nkrumah is telling us what? Kojo Opon Nkrumah, are you telling me that if the teachers don't do transactions more than 100 Ghana cedis? It simply doesn't make sense. For me, it's a symptom of how insensitive this government is to the people of this country. You pay the 1.7. What is also shocking? Remittances. And this one, I'm speaking to our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. This is what President Nana-Addo is doing to you. This is what most of you, or some of you who were confident in the sweet talks of this president, this is what he's doing to you. He's telling you that when you struggle, some of you work 24 hours. Some of you work 24 hours. Some work 16 hours. You have sleepless night. All your struggle, your survival, your parents are home. Your kid brothers and sisters are home. You have gotten this money. You are sending it for them to survive. Sometimes you struggle to send $100 or €100 or £100, if you like, to your family to take care of the family. Some of you went abroad by road. You struggled. You went through. You faced death. Now this president is telling you that any money you are sending to your parents, you have to pay taxes on that money. Any money.
In fact, it says...
Any money.
Let me just read it. It says here so that they get the understanding, because it says electronic transactions covering mobile money payments, bank transfers, merchant payments, and inward remittances will be charged at an applicable rate of 1.75%, which shall be borne by the sender, except inward remittances, which will be borne by the recipient. So the money that comes in from abroad, if it gets to you, the person receiving it, they will deduct that 1.75%.
However it is deducted, this is just niceties of using the English language to confuse people. However, assuming I'm in abroad and I want to give my parents $100. If I send the $100 and they have to pay the remittances, the remittances will be subtracted from the $100. So what are they telling us? However the payment is done, it is whether Jonah swallowed the fish or the fish swallowed Jonah, there was a swallow. Whether the person who is sending the money is the one paying it, or the one who is receiving it is the one paying. After all, look, paying it, you pay. In any case, you send money to your parents, your families, because they don't have it.
Yeah.
Forget of young people. They will tell us that young people, they don't want to work. There are people I know who live in abroad, and their parents are old. They can't do anything. The survival, the water they drink, the cocoa they take, the teaser, the banku, the jollof they eat, everything they did, the medicine, everything comes from their kids who are having sleepless night. Not because of luxury. They're having sleepless night because they want to take care of the family. The president is telling you that any money you send to your parents, you pay taxes on them. Any money.
And if you have to even forward it, then you also
when
have to
you send
pay.
the money, assuming your brother is here schooling, you send money to your brother $100 or $50 or €50 or £50. Your brother would have to pay for taking that money. He has to also send the money to your parents in Kranza, in Domahin Krum, in Takwa, in Tamale, in Nantong. That family would also have to pay. This is what this president is doing to you. So if you are sending $50 a month, then you must readjust the amount of money you send. Because by the time the money gets to your family, the money would have gone. This is what this government is doing. You see, there's another issue that came up, that we are being told that toll booths will be taken off.
And I was just going to come to that, because they're saying that a portion of the proceeds from the e-levy will be used to support entrepreneurship, youth employment, cybersecurity, digital and road infrastructure.
Who are they trying to deceive? Sometimes this government thinks that Ghanaians are a bunch of idiots. We are not. We are smarter than those who are occupying positions in this government.
Why do you say that?
They think we are stupid. That's what they think.
Why do you say that?
And I'll tell you why. You see, we were told in this country that, we are giving you free water, free electricity. And Ghanaians were happy. You saw videos where people were even buffing, tap water on the street. You have there is this comedian I enjoy watching. He sat and then he removed a tap, and people were doing that.
Yeah.
Few months down the lane, the Minister of Information told us that after all, no, it was a trick. Matriku. You have to pay. And indicated to us that government was not Father Christmas. And that those monies ought to be paid, regardless the monies they borrowed from the IMF, regardless the monies they dipped their hands into, we were asked to pay. Now, this government has told us that toll booths and others are not going to be paid. Go and read, in fact, paragraph 67, that is page 17.
Okay.
Fees and charges. And for the purposes of your viewing public, paragraph, let me just see if I can 67.
67 or 17?
No, page 17, right?
Okay.
Page 17 and paragraph 67. Government will complete its work with this House, that is Parliament, to pass the fees and charges bill of implementation in 2022. These fees and charges will be subjected to automatic adjustment, consistent with the annual average inflation as announced by the Ghana Statistical Service. A comprehensive review will be conducted after every 5 years, taking into consideration other factors besides inflation, including improvement in quality of service delivery and privatization of some of the services where feasible. Quality of service delivery. Quality of service delivery includes the delivery of services by vehicular users. What we think they intend to do, they intend to add those charges on some of the taxes they'll be imposing, these fees and other charges. So what they simply are going to do, they are going to widen the tax net. Now, those who were paying the toll levy were those, first and foremost, you must be a vehicular user, one. And two, you must use particular designated roads that you are entitled to make this payment. Now, it is no longer going to be so. What they intend to do is to charge it on everybody. Either they put it on DVLA, and clearly, apart from even DVL, so even if they want to say that they are putting it on only those who are going to register their cars or pay their licenses under DVLA, that is an unfair charge.
But we need to wait for them to really tell us.
There is no way they can do anything except these two. Either they put it on other taxes or they put it on DVLA. If they put it on DVLA, it will be unfair to me who is not using those designated routes. That is what they are doing.
Comrade, hold on. Let's cross over to the Western region. So Eric Yaweje is at one of the toll booths, and we're told that for a number of them, totally free flow of traffic, cars are just moving. A few people are rather confused as to whether to pay or not. So Eric Yaweje is on standby to update us on what's happening in the Western region. Good morning, Eric. Hello, Eric. Good morning. Eric, can you hear us? Okay. Well, let's just listen to what the minister had to say about road tolls in particular quickly, and then we'll see if we can connect with Eric Yaweje in the Western region shortly after.
The congestion generated at the tolling points, besides creating these inconveniences, also leads to pollution in and around the vicinities. To address these challenges, government has abolished all tolls on public roads and bridges.
Well, we are here to pick the thoughts of drivers, what they make of this new directive by the finance minister.
Oko Kumasia, Utia 2 cities, Ba Accra, Utia 2 cities, in and out near 4 cities.
I pay 4 cities from Accra to Kumasi and Kumasi to Accra daily. I do not see any significant impact the abolition of tolls will have but reduce traffic.
All right, and now let's cross over to Western Region where Eric Hiyaweje is on standby at one of the toll booths. Hello, good morning, Eric. Eric, good morning.
Hello, Bella.
Hi, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm fine. Yourself?
I'm good, thank you. So where are you at the moment and what can you tell us?
Thank you very much. So I am currently at the Beduprom toll booth. This toll booth is located on the Takrady to Accra main road. Well, Takrady to Cape Coast main road. Now, this toll booth was relocated from Beposo some 2 years ago, ostensibly because of safety issues at the old site. Now, we've been here for the past 1 hour, 30 minutes, and we've been observing reactions of motorists to this new directive from government and the Ministry of Roads and Transport, and they've been varying. Now, for a lot of people, a lot of the motorists that fly this route, it was the only time they got to hear of this announcement was when they got there and they realized that all the toll booths were closed. Some even had still wanted to pay, but then these traders that you see here told them that it's a new directive that they must not pay when they get there. So the reaction, like I said, have been varying. For some, they think that it's a good measure, but for some, they like we've been hearing since morning, they think that it will be insignificant in the operations of particularly drivers. They were looking ahead to an increase in, for instance, petroleum products and prices of spare parts.
Yeah.
Now,
but quickly, let me just ask. I came to meet Eric, so you are saying that some of the traders are there at the moment and they are the ones directing these drivers to go past the toll booths without paying because that's the new directive. But have you had the chance to speak to the traders to find out what this does to their business as well? Because this is how they also raise money, you know, to cater for their livelihood.
Yes, for the traders, they are not too happy with this directive. Moments ago, I spoke with somebody who is stationed about 150 meters away from this toll booth, and she tells me that the toll booth has been very significant in her daily life. That when on some days she's able to make like 600 cedis from the trading activities. Days when trading is not too okay, what she records is somewhere in the region of 150, 200 cedis. But she fears that she will not be able to record these sales because of the fact that now there's going to be free flow of traffic. So what it means is that those who usually want to do window shopping or who usually want to peep through the windows, see if they can get something to buy, will not get that opportunity because the vehicles will be speeding when they get to this point. So that is the story here. Now, for some of the traders that you see, they are not too happy. I mean, this morning they came wanting to sell, but then there's nothing for them to do. You see, this small tail back, this driver is saying that he wanted to pay, but then they directed that now they must not pay. As the minister directed, there is this police officer here to also ensure that things are going on smoothly. So that's the traders there. Occasionally, usually what will happen is that when the cars get here, they stop and some of the passengers will buy from them. But now because of the free flow of traffic, they are going to do that. Some are so adamant and so of the belief that they'll be able to record some small sales. So you see them still carrying their wares on their head.
Eric, okay, so what about the road toll collectors? Because we know that those positions were reserved for persons with disability. Now we're told that, you know, they'll be reassigned immediately. But what is the situation? Have you had the chance to speak to any of them? Have they come to the toll booths at all? Do you have any updates on that?
Thank you very much. So this lady that I'm sitting by is a toll collector here. According to when we came, she was actually crying that she was in the house when she was told about this directive. She came all the way from William, but she was not too sure of the information. So she wanted to come and find out for herself whether indeed what she was hearing was the case. When she came, obviously that is the case. And we find for the past 30 to 40 minutes. According to her, this directive is going to deal her a significant blow because all her life, this is what she has been relying on. The fact that she has a son that she's taking care of, she has 2 other siblings that she's taking care of, she's taking care of the family because of the fact that she's been employed here.
This is heartbreaking. Does it mean that no official communication was sent to her? Because, I mean, if she's one of them, we're told that they would have been reassigned almost immediately. There was no official communication at all to her. If she belongs to any group, WhatsApp group, whatever the situation? Well, I think we've lost Eric Yaoje, but that's a very sad photo of a person living with disability, and she was a road toll collector. She came to work this morning only to realize that a directive had been given, you know, not to collect road tolls again. I think Eric is back. Sorry, comrade, let's just finish with him. Eric, you're saying that this lady came to work without knowing. Does it mean that no official communication has been sent to any of them? Because they're supposed to belong to an association, a group, anything, at least. They should have been informed this morning.
So there's not been any official communication. What she came here was that they have a WhatsApp, an unofficial WhatsApp group belonging to these two collectors. So about 11:30, or this information from the night collected that there's this directive that from 12 midnight there's going to be a cessation in the collection of tolls. And she was not too okay with the information. She was not too clear with the information. That is how come this morning she came all the way from Winnipeg to find out things for herself. But she tells me that there's not been any official communication to this effect.
All right. Thank you so much, Eric Yaoje. Thank you for speaking to us this morning. Eric Yaoje is our correspondent from the Western region. Comrade, what do you think about this? Because again, we were told that this budget, and like we always do, we wait for budget to be approved before we implement whatever policy it is that has been introduced. But just a few hours after the finance minister spoke, we got a directive and a statement from the roads ministry indicating that the cancellation of road tolls was going to take effect 12 a.m. as of today.
Bella, the policy is not only incoherent, it is absolutely insensitive. The Minister of Finance told the people of this country that if Parliament approves the budget, they were going to take off the toll booths.
Yeah.
That's what he told us. And you played it. So we haven't even started considering and debating this budget. Even approving this budget, we have to approve appropriation. This is the more reason why this budget must be rejected in totality. The last budget, if you check in the Hansard, I called for a rejection of that budget. I never supported it. But you see, they didn't have any discussions with them. Guta have indicated that to remove the benchmark values, they were not consulted.
They were not for it, yeah.
They were not even consulted. They called them to make an input. The input was made. They never informed them. Now, if you have had this thing removed, one bit we are not even looking at has to do with the number of people who will lose their jobs. Most of them are physically challenged. But this government is insensitive. When they came, they removed physical challenged people who were working in some of these toll booths because they were perceived to be NDC faithfuls, and brought their own fiscal challenge people. I was in Tamale last 2 weeks, and I had a gentleman who came to my house with this concerns. I was fiscally challenged. I was working there. Then you removed me and brought different people. So I'm saying that it's just a disaster. Bella, there's another very important point that we all need to be looking at, and that has to do with the debt portfolio.
Before you even go to that, let's quickly take a look at the Vice President speaking on this issue of road tolls much earlier, and this is what he had to say about it.
Money from anywhere, just toll the various sections of the road, and we'll raise the money to do the roads in Ghana.
All right. So that's the Vice President. We're trying to get an indication of when exactly he said this, but this is something that he said. And I remember that even the road minister, during his vetting, disclosed that they were considering even increasing road tolls because we needed money to fix our roads. And then we're here cancelling road tolls.
Well, you see, with all due respect, I think clowns are too many to get these days. But you find a lot in our body politic. And sadly, you find a lot of them in the MPP. And most importantly, at the echelon of their political leadership. Bella, I mean, to be very honest with you, every promise this government made the people of this country, they have not only failed, but they have run away from those promises. Take the financial statement. Corruption was mentioned just once or two times. And in fact, in pages where corruption was mentioned, it was not showing the determination of this government to fight corruption. And I challenge people to go look at the MPP 2017 financial statement, the first budget presented by this government. If you take that budget statement, every single paragraph is pregnant with the word corruption and how they were going to fight corruption. After 2017, you take 2018 financial statement, they faintly talk about corruption. And ever since, corruption has been a distasteful word that would be on their lips, that would be on their pen, and to the extent that the space that is provided for corruption in the subsequent budgetary, financial statement or budget presented has always been just two sentences or two words, and sometimes just the word corruption. And that is the bane of the challenges we are facing in this country. The concern of the people of this country today, what is more critical now of all of us, was what happened in Keita. The tidal waves. Yeah. The Minister for Works and Housing told the people of this country that they would take care of it in their budget. The minister told us. When people wanted to know what this government was doing, they said, it will be factored into the budget. Take the budget and see whether the word Keita is mentioned. At least if they didn't even have the sympathy for the people of Keita and they didn't care about them, they could have just had one statement. We empathize with the people of Keita. Unfortunately, we cannot factor your needs, your desire, your desperate needs into the budget.
But that will even have more dire consequences if you say that we cannot factor your needs. So why he says that they are looking for money?
So why haven't they?
They're looking at raising money. He's addressed it already.
This was not an MPP foot soldier who was speaking. This was a minister in charge of works and housing. The minister under whose responsibility this thing falls. He told the people of this country that they will factor that into the budget. I have an appreciation how budgets are written. I know because I have been there. Every sectorial budget is supervised by the minister of that particular sector. On what basis was he telling us? Or is it that when they had the leave to come to have the presentation, they decided to remove it? I guess that was what happened.
We cannot draw conjectures here. We cannot draw conjectures. We're not there.
I'm making this conclusion based on a promise that was made to the people of this country. That Keita, Ghanaians, citizens of this country, that they are struggling. Of course, no wonder they went with a pickup of items. When President Mahama went with a trailer full of items, their communicators, in fact, their incompetent communicators, mocked that gesture. That the responsibility that should be absolute of the president, that you failed to live by that responsibility. You have an opposition party person who decides that, look, my widow's mite, I can get some support from friends and families. Let me give this assistance to these people. And it became a subject
they say it was political.
Political. Yeah. Then they should have done the needful. They should have done the needful. But Bella, let's look at unemployment. And I don't know why. Repeatedly, and that's why I said they think Ghanaians were idiots. Repeatedly, they quote this figure of 100,000. Now, you had NAPCO chief executive CEO who said that they engaged 117,000.
Yes.
The president says 90.
Well, so the president said 92,000 as at the time because he said there were some 72,000 that were going to get
the NAPCO boss, who happened to be my nephew, even though he wanted to, he's my nephew. He says that
117,000 is the figure that he quoted.
You have the Minister of Finance who appeared and quoted 100,000. Look, I have contested this, and I challenge the media to prove me wrong. The first time we had the budget for NAPCO was in 2018. And in that budget statement, the allocation for NABCO was 400 million. Now, 2019, they told us that they had engaged 100,000 people and paid each beneficiary 700. They are not even smart when they want to lie. Now, multiply 700 by 100,000. That will give you 70 million a month. If you multiply 70 million by 12, that is 12 months, it will give you 840 million. And the 840 million was just salary alone. Meanwhile, the 400 million budget line they had included the establishment of regional and district offices. And which I know, I have worked with a similar program, NYEP, they needed not less than 200 million to be able to set up regional and district offices. Now, they did this. When we raised the issue, they said, oh, it could be captured in the mid-year budget. Bella, go and read the 2018 mid-year budget financial statement. NABCO was not mentioned. So this is a biggest lie that have been told to the people of this country. And that is why we have these inconsistencies of the figures. The president figure is different. The NABCO boss's figure is different. His communication director's figure is different. The Minister of Finance figure is different. Even if we want to go by the Minister of Finance's figure, because he is the paymaster, that figure itself is not true. It's a pact of lies. Bella.
But he's the one paying, so is he not the one that's given?
Look,
could it also have been that he made a mistake? Because the CEO said 117,651 graduate trainees and 68,000 on waiting to get posted.
Bella, running a government is not like selling cocoa by my grandmother on the street of Jiang or on the street of Tamale, or my friend whose wife is selling Kili on the streets of Accra. Before you spend any money, it ought to be approved by Parliament. That's one. Now, you have the opportunity to bring in a mid-year budget. If you didn't envisage something and it happened, you can do that. These things were not captured. Now, take the current budget. The minister is claiming that they are engaging 100,000 again, right? And the budget is a little over 500 million. Now, even if you do a calculation of the 500 million on the 700 Ghana cedis which will be paid to these 100,000 people, it will be less. It will be less about almost 400 million. Now, the 500 million include administrative cost. So, I mean, what do they think we are? How do they look at the people of this country? They think we are so gullible. Whatever they say, we take it hook, line, and sinker without even thinking through. They are not even smart when they are lying. Couldn't they have just put a figure and say that, look, salaries alone will take 840 million. Other administrative costs will take 200 million. Even if they wanted to lie smartly.
Yeah, but would have asked for numbers, because would have asked that how many people are you paying?
Maybe they could have again told another lie that, oh yes, we'll take care of that under the mid-year budget. You see, the reason is that this is a policy they think that they must implement to satisfy the uncontrollable ego of somebody. Let me give you an example. There's even an illegality happening here. The NYEP is an instrument of Parliament. In fact, the Parliament, if you want to go through the history, but it's an instrument of Parliament. The money is to take, now, that even reminds me, the communication service tax is now over 50%. When you make call, you pay a tax on it. Aside even the other remittances and 1.75% you pay. Now, the communication service tax, which was instituted by Prof. Mills of blessed memory, was around that time 18%. And then when President Mahama came, it was increased to about 25%. And that percentage was given NYEP over 100 million Ghana cedis a month. Now, NYEP, for the 5 years this government has been in office, they haven't engaged anybody under NYEP. The only model that they claimed they engaged was the community policing. And they even lied. They said they had engaged 15,000 people. And I challenged them that all the police depots in this country at that time had a maximum capacity to train 7,000 people. And they trained them once, so you could not be engaging 15,000 people. Now, the monies meant for NYEP is what is being used for NABCO. Did they seek parliamentary approval for doing that? That is what is being used for NABCO. That is what is being used.
Is that what they said?
I'm saying that is what is being used. Why are they getting the money for NABCO? If that is not what is being used, they should tell us how much NABCO has generated ever since they came to office. As a matter of fact, when the NDC was leaving office, we left over 200 million Ghana cedis for them under NYEP. Tell me one single model they have engaged under NYEP. They are using NYEP's money for NABCO. Meanwhile, they had regional offices. And the regional offices, they have district offices manned by individuals. Those people are sitting there taking salary. And they have created another model. By the way, let me remind President Nanado, the NYEP was not the creation of Prof. Mills or President Rawlings or President Mahama. Perhaps his distaste and dislike for President Kufuor, that is the reason why he didn't want to continue with the NYEP. They could have continued with it. So how can you leave a model which was time-tested, a model which was in existence for some years, and then you created another model? The NAPCO was not even a new model. It was the paid internship. We had a model under the NYP called paid internship. That was what they just used and created different offices, regional offices, district offices, employed people to man those offices. These people are sitting there without doing anything.
So are you saying that you started NAPCO? I'm
saying that NAPCO is just a name. The NAPCO is what a model under the NYP, which was called paid internship.
So you started that?
No, the NYP was started by President Kufuor. When we came, we continued. We continued with what President Kufuor did. And then this government came. You could have just continued with the NYP. The model under the NAPCO was the model under NYP called paid internship. But they have created a different structure, different regional and district offices, national offices.
Has NAPCO not come to assuage any problems at all? I'm
saying that there are problems that NAPCO could have assuaged were the problems that were already being solved by NYEP. The point I'm making. Okay. How can you have offices, regional offices, district offices, with individuals manning those offices are on salary? You left them, created another office called NAPCO, and then monies that are meant to run the old office, you are now sending the money to run the new office. Yet officers who are seated in the old office are no longer doing anything. And that is why I said the only model that they implemented was the community policing. Someone should come out and challenge me that they implemented other models. And whether the monies for NYP is not what is being used to run NAPCO. If they say that is not what is being used to run NAPCO, then they should be accounting to the people of this country. How monies have been accumulated as a result of the communication service tax for the purposes of NYEP? When they are even increasing, Babala, let me make this last point. In 2016, you can check from the ILO website, the unemployment rate in this country was 6.8. Dr. Baumia said a whole lot of things about President Mahama and the NDC. They took over. In 2017, it reduced to 6.7. And I said that it was not the work of the MPP government. It was as a result of the policy interventions by the NDC government in 2015-2016 that occasioned the reduction of the unemployment rate. Because any policy to create jobs, you can't get the results within that year. Yes. Now, they said, it was the miracle of Dr. Baumia who changed the economy of Zimbabwe, who was the master planner of the economy that we have today. Check in the mid-year budget and this budget. Unemployment rate is 8.4%. These are not my figures. These are the figures provided by this government. And youth unemployment is 12.6%. I mean, it takes a genius of economic mismanagement to mismanage the economy of this country to the level that we are.
All right.
That is what we are experiencing.
Let's take a quick look at another video by the Vice President quickly on an issue that was raised in the budget, and then we'll wrap up. And unfortunately, we don't have a rep from the NPP. And so if you're watching and you're wondering where your rep is, we can't seem to reach them to even let us know who's supposed to be here. But later, we'll have the Energy Minister, Honorable Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, speak exclusively to Johnny Hughes on the show. And so look forward to that conversation.
I'm told he's going to be the running mate to Dr. Baumia.
But
my
final,
friend.
But final video of the Vice President speaking on the issue of Momo. This was on Tuesday. Was it on Tuesday? Okay, this is an old video, by the way, speaking to Mr. Kwame Sefakai on Momo. Take a look at this.
My question, which is, okay, say over 200 million transactions. Are we taxing mobile money because we have mobile money at Tuska?
Yeah.
No government revenue bill.
No, the point is that you are not taxing mobile money, and it is, for me, my view and that we should not tax mobile money, because mobile money transactions, a lot of the people who are using these transactions are very poor people. Someone will get sent 5 CDs on mobile money. Why would you want to tax
Why would you want to tax? Quick one. So good morning, Bella. The Agyenkwa budget, which was presented yesterday by the finance minister, will create lots of hardship to the Ghanaian workers and poor citizens. For example, the e-tax on banking and mobile money transaction, if passed, will discourage many people from regular financial transactions because transactions and remittances will be heavily taxed. This is from Issa Haku from Tamale. And again, we did not get a rep from the NPP to speak on the issues that have come up as a result of the budget. By the way, we have to run, comrade.
In fact, a minute is important.
30 seconds, please.
The property tax, the district assemblies, their IGF, internal generated funds, usually come from the property tax. So that once they get it, they use it to do certain things in the other assembly. Common fund hasn't come, not even first quarter. The fourth quarter is about ending. This government has decided now that the property tax will never be taken and retained by the assemblies. They will take the property tax and give the assembly 40% and take 60%. And they are not taking the 60%. They've gotten their friends, a private entity, which will now take that tax for government and take 30% and give government 30% and leave 40% for the assembly. Friends, family, that is what they have created again.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. Comrade Mutala Mohammed has been our guest. He is the MP for Tamale Central. Speaking for the NDC, there was no rep from the MPP. Now, the GPRTU had earlier asked that ahead of the budget reading, they were expecting the finance minister to take away some 5 taxes on petroleum, and that didn't happen. And so yesterday they spoke and said they're going to have a meeting with the stakeholders, and that will inform their decision as to whether they would go ahead with that strike that they had intended to undertake. And so we're getting an exclusive with the energy minister today. Honorable Matthew Opoku Prempeh will be speaking to Johnny on the show, and so look forward to it. Now, quick message, by the way. What will happen to the heavy trucks and vehicles from our neighboring countries, which mostly have the tendency of destroying our roads because of the heavy things they carry? Now, what will happen to those? Thank you so much. This has been the big issue on TV3Newday. We'll be back with the exclusive. Cookie is also on her way to the toll booths to find out what the current situation is at the Tema motorway. Look forward to that and more right here on New Day. We'll be back with sports, entertainment, and so much more.